Today I'm taking one of the most spectacular journeys in the Caucasus, the legendary Georgian Military Highway to Kazbegi, close to the Russian border. And accompanying me is Misha, who knows every twist and turn of this road. So join us for a journey into the high mountains of Georgia.
We are ready to go to Kazbegi, Stepantsminda. This is one of the most visited places in Georgia. It will be interesting and unforgettable travel and trip for you, I hope.
The Georgian Military Highway was built by a team of 800 Russian soldiers in the late 18th century, linking Tbilisi, or Tiflis as it was known then, to Russia, with a route through the High Caucasus. Officially, it starts just north of the Georgian capital and then runs for 168 kilometres to the city of Vladikavkaz in North Ossetia, Russia. At kilometre 28, the highway passes the Soviet-era Zhinvali Dam, which holds back the Zhinvali Reservoir, one of the area's most popular beauty spots.
So almost 50% of Tbilisi citizens receive this tap water from here. We drink tap water here in Georgia. It's very nice and very clear. And there is one place over there, now it's not possible to see, but when in winter and spring, when the level of the water is going down, there is still a church which was built in 12th century. It's like a small building, of course, like basilica style church. It's still standing, and when the level is going down, this church is come up.
And here in Zhinvali, this is the first day of snow that they've had this winter, so it's going to be very, very interesting when we get higher up.
I'm so surprised because in Tbilisi it was perfect sunny weather and not too much cold, and I took my autumn jacket but it's not enough. Actually it's too much cold and it's snowing.
The real highlight is on the northern shore, the churches of Ananuri. The largest church in the complex was built in 1689 and is dedicated to the Dormition of the Mother of God.
See the grape trees, left and the wing trees, which is symbol of life for us, for Georgians. And as you know, we have 8,000 years of winemaking, 8,000 years experience of winemaking. Two chained lions, which is symbol of, as you know, lion is symbol of power, and if you have power, it means that you should control it. That's why they are chained. You see also two angels, left and right side. Left one is with footwears and the right one is without. So this is symbol of rich people and poor people, and that means the idea is that they are equal.
Unfortunately, most of the interior frescoes were lost to a fire in the 18th century. Next to the church is a much older 12th century watchtower, and beyond that, the smaller St Saviours church. The original Soviet plan for a larger reservoir would have submerged both of the churches, and it was only thanks to substantial protests in Georgia that the plan was shelved. Further along, the small village of Ananuri sits at the confluence of the black and white Aragvi rivers. And apparently there's a noticeable colour difference due to the minerals, but not so visible today in this light. From here in Ananuri, we now start a serious ascent. The Georgian Military Highway goes up a number of hairpin bends towards our next stop, the ski resort of Gudaury. In the 19th century, this was a well-trodden route for Russian writers looking for inspiration, with Pushkin, Chekhov, Gorky and Tolstoy all making the long journey south to the Caucasus to see what the fuss was about. None of those writers came to ski, but today, if they were so inclined, they could take to the slopes at Gudaury, a resort that is now sprawling all over the mountainside, and frankly, in my opinion, spoiling the landscape. At 2 kilometres up, it's the highest settlement on the highway. Beyond the hotels and new apartments and above the Gudaury abyss, one finds the Russian-Georgian Friendship Monument. Reminiscent of a similar friendship monument that I visited in Mongolia, this was a 1983 Soviet creation to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Treaty of Gurgievsk. This treaty established eastern Georgia as a Russian protectorate, thereby keeping the Persian Empire at bay.
The most important, interesting thing, valuable thing here is view, not friendship monument, because we have friendship monument between Russian and Georgian people, but we have at the same time 200 experience, and they have never been our friends.
Unfortunately, friendship between Georgia and Russia is in short supply at the moment, but then again, it's always been a very complicated relationship. We keep getting ferocious gusts of wind. In fact, Misha says he's never seen it as windy up here. After the monument, the road crosses the highest mountain pass, the Zhinvali Pass, or Cross Path in English, which peaks at 2,395 metres.
Yeah, it's freezing, yeah.
Freezing.
Water is freezed.
So why are there hundreds of trucks here?
Because of the Zhinvali Pass, which is dangerous now. Because of snowfall, it's a little bit sleepy, and police managed to stop them for prevention of traffic jams and car crashes and so on. So they need to wait till the police permission. You can see also the same line opposite side going to Russia. Sometimes because the border of Russia, sometimes they make some artificial reasons, I mean Russian side, to make some black money because they don't work for 24 hours sometimes. Our guys, they are working, but it makes artificial queue lines and the trucks need to wait, and sometimes there are more than 100, 200 trucks over there, and our police, they are trying to manage until the border, till Kazbegi, they are stopping them. So, and they can, after that, after sometimes a few days, they need to wait in winter, especially if it is dangerous to drive and everything. So our police are so good to do this.
But in a few short years, the pass will be left to tourists, because back down the valley, Georgia's highest road bridge is almost complete, leading to a 9-kilometre tunnel that will eliminate the worst part of the route. This is a $550 million project, and as with most infrastructure projects in this part of the world, the work is being carried out by Chinese construction companies. The tunnel can't come soon enough, as the Zhinvali Pass is in pretty poor condition, and when there's heavy snowfall, I have no idea how 2 large trucks have room to pass in some of the rudimentary concrete tunnels. Descending the pass, you enter Sioni, dominated by a fabulous late medieval watchtower on a rocky outcrop. From here, it's just a few kilometres to our final destination, Kazbegi, a small town that lies at the foot of Mount Kazbek, an extinct volcano that forms the border between Georgia and Russia, and which, at 5,047 metres in altitude, is one of the highest mountains in the Caucasus and higher than any peaks in Western Europe. The mountain's greatest claim to fame is that, according to ancient Greek myth, it was on this peak that Zeus chained the Titan Prometheus for stealing fire from the gods. And if that wasn't enough, a raven was sent every day to tear out his liver. This is where I say goodbye to Misha. Safe journey back!
Thank you so much, have a nice time and see you soon.
I'm staying in the Hotel Inn Tourist. Now, that name in Soviet days was a guarantee of really poor quality, but not anymore. This Inn Tourist has recently been renovated and would not look out of place in the Swiss Alps. A great place to stay if you're off hiking or even mountain climbing.
Now that is one of the best views from a hotel window that I have ever had in all my years of travelling.
As well as the mountain, the other symbol of Kazbegi is the 14th century Gergeti Trinity Church, which sits high above the town. For a time there was a Soviet cable car up to the church, but it was seen as disrespectful and apparently the locals destroyed it out of anger. The lower cable car station is now a canvas for street art. Now all the road signs call this town Stepantsminda, so let me clear this up. The town's original name was Stepantsminda, or St. Stephen in English, named after the saint who built a hermitage here. But then in 1925 it became known as Kazbegi, after the 19th century poet Alexander Kazbegi, or possibly his great-grandfather, who was a Russian officer. It's since been formally changed back, but nobody around here seems to have noticed. The poet Kazbegi was born here and is also buried here, in the grounds of what is now the museum. Everybody in Georgia still calls the town Kazbegi, and I think the poet, standing behind me, has a wry smile on his face about that. As I head back down the military highway, let me give you a snapshot of Kazbegi's fascinating story. Alexander Kazbegi was born into a noble family in Stepantsminda in 1848. He studied in Tbilisi, Moscow and St. Petersburg, and then inherited his father's estate. But he immediately took steps to improve the lives of the estate's peasants. And then, feeling more kinship with those very peasants, he shocked everyone by working as a shepherd for the next 7 years. His experiences working among the ordinary people of the mountains were later turned into stories and poems. His works described the captivating mountain landscapes and often criticised feudal lords whilst lauding the brave and noble peasants. His novel, The Patricide, was even a favourite of the young Stalin. He also translated Romeo and Juliet into Georgian, but sadly later deprivation and persecution drove Kazbegi to serious mental illness, and it's reported that he died alone and penniless in Tbilisi. But to finish on a positive note, it is said that when the French writer Alexandre Dumas, he of the Three Musketeers, came this way, he was astonished to find that even the shepherds spoke French. Of course, the shepherd that he conversed with was none other than Alexander Kazbegi. It's a wonderful story to round off a breathtaking journey.
When Anton Chekhov came this way, he said, "I have survived the Georgian Military Highway. It is not a highway, it is poetry." And indeed, it has been a real privilege to travel on the highway today.